Welcome to the University of New Mexico's training on Clery Act compliance for campus security authorities, presented by the Office of Compliance, Ethics, and Equal Opportunity, or CEEO. This presentation is a training requirement for UNM employees and volunteers who are designated as campus security authorities, or CSAs, under the Jeanne Clery Act and under University Administrative Policy 2745. The material you learn over the next few minutes will prepare you to fulfill your responsibilities as a CSA, and in doing so, help UNM meet our obligations as an institution. In 1986, Jeanne Clery was an aspiring student athlete sleeping in her dorm room near the end of her first year at Lehigh University. A disgruntled fellow classmate, unknown to Clery at the time, was prowling campus for the chance to burglarize a building when he came across Jeanne's unlocked door. Upon entering the room and seeing her asleep, his crime became opportunistic in nature as he proceeded to violently assault Jeanne before taking her life. In the aftermath of her tragic death, Jeanne's family learned of several other violent crimes that had been committed on or near campus but never disclosed by the university. They were convinced that had Jeanne had access to this type of information, she might have made different decisions to protect herself. The Clery family's lobbying efforts that ensued ultimately led Congress to pass what is known today as the Jeanne Clery Campus Safety Act, or simply the Clery Act. The Clery Act requires any institution that receives Title IV federal funding to make both annual and ongoing disclosures about safety and security at its campus. It is a federal consumer protection law administered by the U.S. Department of Education that aims to enhance accountability and transparency at colleges and universities in the United States. Through this law, campus community members receive information they can use to make informed decisions about whether to study, work, or live at UNM and how to best protect themselves and others while on campus. Failing to comply with any of the Clery Act can have serious consequences. Massive fines are just one of them. When the Department of Education conducts an audit of a school's Clery program, each individual violation they identify could cost that institution up to over $70,000 in fines. It's no wonder we hear in the news about some universities being fined millions of dollars for failing to comply with the Clery Act, causing damage to their reputations and their bottom lines. No one person or office can meet all of UNM's obligations under the statute. Clery is a massive and complicated federal law that requires many individuals and departments across UNM to work together as a team. This is why compliance with the Clery Act is an institution-wide responsibility. In compliance with UAP 2745 and the Clery Act, UNM designates certain individuals across the university as CSAs, whom CEEO relies on to help meet our Clery obligations. It is the role someone like you fulfills for the UNM community, whether it be as an employee or volunteer, that makes them a CSA. The role of a CSA is to record any information of alleged crimes that are reported to them or that they may personally witness in a manner that is accurate and timely. It does not matter whether the CSA is on the clock when they receive the report. Conversely, something a CSA simply overhears, learns through the grapevine, receives in a class assignment or personal statement, or hears during a speech is not considered a direct report to a CSA. Having a strong network of CSAs across campus provides students, employees, and other community members with the opportunity to disclose information to someone they trust. When CSAs share information they receive about crimes reported to them, It allows the university to track crime statistics and patterns, keep the community informed, and resource victims even if they choose not to report to law enforcement. When a student or employee reports an incident involving an alleged sexual assault, domestic violence, dating violence, or stalking to the university, they have the right to be notified in writing about their rights and options, as well as UNM's responsibilities toward them. Not only is this a requirement of the Clery Act, as amended by the 2013 reauthorization of the Violence Against Women Act, but it allows the university a way to deliver pertinent information to victims of these crimes in a uniform and streamlined way so they can decide what is right for them. This information is provided in writing through a booklet called A Survivor's Guide to Rights and Options at UNM. Your obligation as a CSA is to report crimes that are reported to you. However, in addition to asking the reporting party if they are safe, UNM encourages CSAs to provide this guide to any student or employee who reports an incident of sexual assault or interpersonal violence to you, regardless of whether the crime occurred on or off campus, by providing a link or printed version to them. This is especially the case if you are the first person they have told or if the incident has just occurred. This is because a survivor's guide contains vital information for someone who has just experienced one of these crimes, such as how to preserve evidence, obtain a forensic medical exam, or obtain a restraining order. A survivor's guide to rights and options at UNM also provides resources available at all of UNM's campuses and in the larger community, information about supportive measures available through the university, an overview of UNM's administrative grievance and disciplinary procedures for incidents involving any VAWA offense, and more. Confidential support sites are available to help walk survivors through the guide, report to law enforcement, navigate the university's administrative resolution process, and get the resources they need. When CEO or UNMPD receives a CSA report, they take steps to first resource any victim as appropriate, then make an immediate assessment as to whether or not, based on the information provided, to issue an emergency notification or timely warning. At UNM, these are referred to as LOBO alerts and LOBO advisories, respectively. UNMPD also has up to 2 business days from the time the CSA received the report to list the report on UNM's daily crime log or daily fire log. UNM can only properly assess reports for these ongoing disclosures as well as compliance with other areas of the law, such as Title IX, when CSA reports are made in an accurate and timely manner. Now that we've discussed a survivor's guide to rights and options at UNM and ongoing disclosures, let's discuss the next life stage for a CSA report, evaluating it for inclusion in UNM's annual disclosure of crime statistics. On a rolling basis, the Clery coordinator collects CSA reports from a variety of sources to classify which ones get included in UNM's annual disclosure of Clery Act crime statistics. The Clery coordinator also surveys CSAs at least once a year, prompting them to submit any reports they received but have not yet provided. For the Clery coordinator to classify an incident as a Clery Act reportable statistic, it must meet the definition of a Clery Act offense, occur within UNM's Clery Act geography, and get reported to a CSA. The exhaustive list of Clery Act offenses is defined by federal sources to include the FBI's Uniform Crime Reporting Program, the Violence Against Women Act, and the Stop Campus Hazing Act. UNM's Clery Act geography is made up of 3 categories: on-campus, non-campus, and public property. On-campus properties are those that UNM owns or controls for educational purposes and are reasonably contiguous to one of its campuses. The public property category includes properties that are publicly owned and that run adjacent to or through one of its campuses. Finally, Non-campus properties are those that UNM owns or controls for educational purposes or are owned or controlled by an officially recognized student organization and that are not contiguous to any of UNM's campuses. To clarify, non-campus properties are places where UNM owns or controls space through some kind of written agreement to engage in mission-related activities like leading in-person courses, hosting graduations, competitions, or conferences, taking overnight trips, providing medical services, and conducting research-related activity throughout the city, throughout the state, and even throughout the country. Consider this. We know that when people report crimes, they don't always refer to what occurred using exact or accurate terminology. For instance, someone whose home was burglarized might mistakenly say they were robbed. Regardless of how someone characterizes what they experienced, it's your job as a CSA to relay the exact information they disclose to you, not to paraphrase, classify it as a specific offense, or determine it didn't happen. Only commissioned law enforcement can unfound a report of a crime through a thorough investigation. Similarly, the general population is not expected to understand the complexities of Clery Act geography. Again, it's your job as a CSA to relay what they disclose to you, not to paraphrase, make assumptions, or decide for yourself whether the incident occurred within UNM's Clery Act geography or not. Ultimately, the Clery coordinator makes the final determination about whether to include a CSA report in UNM's annual disclosure of crime statistics, so you don't have to. If someone shares information about a crime with you, you have a responsibility as a CSA to report that information to UNMPD or the Clery coordinator in a precise and timely manner. To access the official CSA crime report form, visit the UNMPD website at police.unm.edu. Click on the CSA Member Home tab and use your credentials to log in when prompted. Once you're logged in, select the CSA Members tab and then click on CSA Crime Report Form. Fill out the form and hit Submit to complete your report. Other options include submitting a report to UNMPD directly, calling UNM's Ethics Point hotline, or submitting an online Ethics Point report, or notifying the Clery coordinator directly. Staff within Residence Life and Student Housing, the Dean of Students Office, and American Campus Communities also have the option of submitting an incident report through the Simplicity Advocate system. As you can see, CSAs play a vital role in helping the university meet our obligations under the Clery Act in a variety of ways. Thank you for taking the time to complete this training, and please reach out to CEEO with any questions or concerns about your role as a campus security authority or UNM's compliance with the Clery Act.